Hello everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Apollo Justice, Ace Attorney. Last time we started Phoenix Wright's final trial. Today we continue it, I guess. I'm still a little confused by everything that transpired, but hey, we're getting more information as we go. Very impressive, Mr. Wright. I have to say, I expected nothing less. We've only just begun. I was hoping you could tell me a bit more about what happened, actually. I did not think you would believe me if I told you. Better that you discovered the truth for yourself. I was thinking of you, you know? I think we need less thinking and more talking. That night in the hospital, what really happened? Ah, the way your eyes gleam, Mr. Wright. You'll scare Trucy. Speaking of which, where is she? You have seen the problem yourself. The letter. The one shot in the forehead. One, right? Oh, my God. Good Lord. Okay. The one shot in the forehead. One, right? Yes, and the reason he speaks of. I cannot deny my mentor's wishes, even if it meant my own death. Why not? This is something I will not say. For now, at least. What's this for now business? I have done many things in my life, some well, some poorly. This is a cross we must bear alone to our graves. We? Oh my God, it was a mercy killing. You wanted to know about the night of the incident. Finally, this guy sure likes to take his time getting to the important stuff. Of course, I had no intention of shooting my mentor. I snuck into his room that night at the appointed time. And found there upon his bedside table 2 pistols. 2? Yes, the one I used on stage. And the one that had been used by my partner, Valent. Oh, for the Zack and Valent's quick draw thing? My mentor had the look of one sleeping. I stood by his bedside, hearing only the light sound of his breathing. I took the pistol into my hand. I cannot deny that my resolve faltered then, for a moment. You faltered? You mean you thought about shooting him? Recall there was a reason I could not refuse his request. His last such request, though not his first. So, there were other requests you couldn't refuse before. To be honest, I've not always been steadfast, and I fear I brought pain upon Trucy. Was Magnifique coercing his disciples somehow? Because what was going on in Troop Gramarye? Yet, in the end I did not shoot him. Instead, I turned and shot the clown! I took the pistol I had fired and placed it in my pocket. In your pocket? I believe if you examine the bullet in the clown's head, you will find it to be different than the one in my mentor. What were those called? Rifling marks. Yes! Well, that is all I have to tell you concerning the case. Concerning the case? You mean there's something else you can tell me? Ha! Ha ha ha! You're a fascinating man, Mr. Wright. Thanks? Yes, there is something. My mentor, his eyes opened. What? Magnifique Gramarye? The old devil, he was not asleep, you see. Of course, the gunshot would have woken him anyway. And there we had our last discussion as mentor and pupil. It's not a long discussion, maybe 5-10 minutes or so. What did you talk about? Ha ha, Mr. Wright! Did I not just tell you? It does not concern this case. Zack Gramarye. He seems pretty steadfast to me. Or maybe just stubborn. Mr. Wright, your presence is requested in the courtroom. Once again, I am in your hands. Right, let's get back in there. But then who else would have got in to shoot? Court is now back in session. During our recess, a bullet was found in and dug out from the clown's head. Well, this is news! And the rifling marks? There wasn't time to do a detailed analysis, though they did find the weapon type matches the murder weapon. That's not very conclusive, is it? Which is why I'm about to call my very decisive witness. Your decisive witness? How many times have I heard those words? though they often turn out to be far less decisive than you think. Oh, don't worry on my account. I'm quite confident this witness will do the job. After all, he is intimately acquainted with the players in our little production, being the other half of Troop Grammary's famous duo, Zack and Valent. Valent Grammary. So, we get to meet the great Magnifie's other disciple. Perhaps we'll start by asking your name and occupation? Valent Grammary, magician! And you're the decisive witness, are you? You can prove your fellow student, your partner's guilt? Fate, the grand illusion filled with traps and tricks. Well, wait, the shooting took place in that hospital after 11 o'clock at night. If you're a witness, does that mean you were there that late? If one were to deduce this logically, the conclusion is yes. Okay. I always get the characters, don't I? I have an interesting fact for you. You see, several days before the crime, my witness received this. That looks very familiar. Wait. That's the same letter Zack Grammary received. Yes, or perhaps I should say, ta-da! Order! 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 What does it say? Surely not the same thing. Perhaps you should see for yourself. Beloved student Valent, to you I entrust this task of lowering my life's curtain. Come on the 13th, 11:20 p.m. I will ready a gun with which you will shoot one shot square in the forehead. You cannot refuse. Why, it's practically the same! Wait a minute. It's 15 minutes later. So he knew Zack wasn't going to kill him? The court accepts this into evidence. This is most unusual. Exactly what was going on with you folks? What exactly was your Troop Grammary up to? By which you mean? I'm just having trouble envisioning a man who would ask his students to kill him. Both of them, no less. It's just my opinion, Herr Judge. But from these letters, I'd say he was coercing them, not asking them. We walked the magician's path together, and in so doing, shared much of our lives. When people are so close, there is strain, a warping of relations, you might say. Yet this has nothing to do with the case at hand. By which you mean you're not going to tell us. Which makes me wonder even more about this reason they couldn't refuse. Well, let's get on with the testimony for starters. The defendant, Zack Grammary, stands accused. Tell us why. Oh, I'll do more than that. For where he walks, the red roses rise, singing hymns to the miracle that is magic. Fascinating, though I hardly need to remind you that the evidence could just as clearly point to you as the suspect. The letter, the murder weapon, and now the 2 bullets found at the scene. In fact, the only difference seems to be the designated time. Ha 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 ha! As every magician knows, timing is everything. Yes. And now it's time to get this party fired up. Alright, the night of the crime. That night, I visited the hospital room at the time Magnifie requested. The smell of gunpowder hung in the room, and my mentor had taken his final bow. I did not imagine my fellow student might have received the same instructions. Yet a deal with the dead is still a deal, death's sweet kiss I gave to the clown. And I informed the doctor and the police. You informed the doctor and the police after you fired a freaking gun in a hospital? What? So you're the one who reported the crime. Indeed, I would think. This fact alone would clear my name of suspicion. Let's not jump to any conclusions. Yes, the cross-examination generally comes before the conclusions in this court. But if your testimony proves to be true, then the defendant, Zack Grammary, is guilty. And if it wasn't Zack Grammary, then the killer was you, Valent. And no disappearing act will get you out of that. Something's fishy here, but This room at the time McAfee requested. The smell of gunpowder hung in the room. My mentor had taken his final bow. I'd imagine my fellow student might have received the same instructions. Which brings us back to this reason neither of you could refuse. So it does, and my partner, he did not refuse. But McAfee wrote the same thing to you. Why could you refuse if Zach couldn't? Because I have a will of steel, of course. I also do this trick where I bend steel bars, so perhaps steel isn't also strong. So which is it? Mind if I continue? Gonna steal a deal, death sweet kiss I gave to the clown. There were 2 bullet holes at the scene, one in the victim and one in the clown. You're saying the one who shot the clown was you. No doubt my partner Zach has said much the same thing. Yeah, because whoever didn't shoot the clown committed murder. Better dig around here a bit more and see what I turn up. Mr. Valent, let me ask about something else concerning the crime scene. Namely... Ooh. He wouldn't know anything about the bullet. I don't think the location mattered. Let's ask the number. How many pistols were there when you entered the room? By which you mean what precisely? 2 pistols were used in the Zach and Valent quick draw shoot 'em, correct? One for each of you. You are well informed, yet only one of my old friends sat in the hospital room that night. What did Zach tell me back in the lobby? Of course, I had no intention of shooting my mentor. I snuck into his room that night at the appointed time and found there upon his bedside table 2 pistols. I took the pistol I had fired and placed it in my pocket. See no problem with that statement. Only 1 pistol was visible in the photograph of the crime scene after all. So you picked up that pistol and fired it? Indeed I did. Alakazam! Alakazing! Alakaboom! Is the number of pistols really so important? Not really, because either way that confirms he came in after, but it doesn't confirm anything about Zach. Actually, let me ask about something else. Very well. Witness may continue with the testimony. What can I do but obey? I don't... Bullet is not gonna matter, but we'll ask. In order to shoot a pistol, you need a bullet. Where was the bullet? I entered the room and took the pistol in my hand. The bullet was already loaded, ready to fire at any time. The magician is always prepared, you see. Prepared for... One never knows when a miracle will be called for. The magician always has 7 doves in his pocket and a white rabbit up each sleeve. Clearly, we're dealing with professionals here. Is the bullet that was loaded in the pistol really so important? No. Alright, let me ask about... I don't see this mattering either. Where exactly was the pistol when you entered the room? Atop a small bedside table it was. As if to say, here I am, take me into your hand, pull my trigger, shoot him. The victim clearly wanted to be shot. But why? Perhaps he wanted to go out with a bang. Yet if you'll never hear the truth from his lips, so all we can do is guess. Location of the pistol all that important? No. I'll go back to the number. But I don't see... But maybe we can dig some more up about it. Because this was the only one we had way more like elaboration on with this little flashback. The number of pistols is quite important, Your Honor. Very well. Please add this detail to your testimony. What can I do but obey? Only one pistol in the hospital room was that night. With it, I shot the clown. So you took the only pistol there and fired it. That's correct. And that pistol was this one, which was left at the crime scene. Good show. I see you two are a magician of sorts. And you're an idiot of sorts. Do you have any idea what you just said? See the fire in your eyes as you glare at the witness. So how about heating up this trial a bit? These slow ballots bore me. I've got a hunch, but maybe that's all it is. Maybe we should ask about something else. I don't... Huh? Okay, I think I see where we're going with this, but I have no idea what to present or where, like, to what statement. The bullet is important. Because it says here, rifling marks match the bullet that was found in the victim. But he says he fired this gun at the clown. This gun that was found at the scene of the crime. I will present the gun on that statement. Otherwise, I will switch things over to the bullet and maybe present it there. Okay, it works. It works. According to the defendant, Zach Gramery, when he entered the room, there were 2 pistols on that table. 2? One of those pistols he used to shoot the clown in the forehead. Then he left with it in his pocket. Of course, this is what he would say. Unlike the hapless clown, we must assume our defendant has some brains in his head. Just ignore the robocall in the background. Well, what about Mr. Valent has told us? You see, there's something about his testimony that doesn't make sense. What might that be? I told you, I took the pistol that was there and shot the clown. That's your story, at least. But the rifling marks tell a very different story, Mr. Valent. Recall what Prosecutor Gavin told us. We compared the bullet taken from the victim's skull with the bullet fired from this gun. The rifling marks on the bullets were a perfect match. Ah. Mr. Valent, if you fired this pistol, then you shot the victim in the forehead. Order! 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 Well, this is all rather sudden. What have I done? Prosecutor Gavin? I owe the court an apology. Sorry. Sorry for what? You see, I was unaware that 2 of these unique pistols were crafted. The analysis of the rifling marks only proved the type of gun that fired them. But that's not what you told us before. You said you verified the murder weapon. Which is why I'm apologizing to you now. Quite sincerely, I might add. Would you hold me accountable for a mistake made in my youth? Oh, bullshit! That's the cop-out of just... That's just... lame as shit. Like, oh, sorry. I'm new to this. That's why I, made a mistake that could very well cost somebody life in prison, if not execution. My bad. Why are you looking at me like that? I said my bad. I'm young. I make mistakes. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. That was just this morning. I am still young. And I might add, it wasn't really my fault. The defendant had only admitted he took one pistol from the scene of the crime. We would not be having this pleasant discussion now. Violent Gramarye. Yes, Your Honor. You were presented to this court as a decisive witness, but you've proven to be more divisive than decisive. Ooh, I like that one, Judge. I like that one. Also, I'm just 40... 6 to 7. 8. It's 17. Fuck out of here. Yo, Gumshoe! Alright, and Valent 37. I don't know why I'm putting so much credence on the age. You'll see in time. The testimony so far has merely been a review of the facts. The proof comes next. Care to elaborate, Prosecutor Gavin? When Mr. Valent entered the hospital room, the victim had already been shot. As his next testimony will prove, Herr Wright, the real fight is about to begin. Bring it. Very well. The witness will now testify to the court. Help us determine who shot what. I arrived in the hospital room at the appointed time, which is to say 11:20 p.m. After discovering the body, I fulfilled my obligation and called in the doctor. The doctor examined the body before the police arrived. He was quite clear about the time of death, 11:10 p.m. And the one in the room at that time was my partner, not me. Those times are rather close, you have to admit. You're talking about an alibi established over a matter of minutes. To use a 10-minute discrepancy as the basis of your alibi. It's easy to explain in this situation, Herr Judge. For example, take our debut hit single, 13 Years Hard Time for Love. Cue to the song, press the play button, and it'll play for 2 minutes 15 seconds. Do it 100 times, the result is the same. The debut single was only 2 minutes and 15 seconds long. What a ripoff. Magic is a world of utmost precision. Hocus pocus requires admirable focus. And in the time of death determined by the doctor, there is an incontrovertible truth. Very well. Prosecution warns us that we're dealing with rather precise times. We can expect a cross-examination to require the same level of precision. I would hope the defense refrains from its customarily broad, sweeping accusations. Lest we blur the focus this case so clearly demands. Point taken. Baseless remarks will result in a penalty. Carry on, Mr. Wright. Carry on. Right. Who shot what? Arrived in the hospital room at the appointed time, was to say 11:20 p.m. Discovering the body, I fulfilled my obligation and called in the doctor. Doctor examined the body before the police arrived. It's quite clear about the time of death, 11:10 p.m. The one in the room at that time was my partner, not me. I don't think I'm stepping out on a limb to say I have some doubts about this. How can the doctor be so precise with the time? We do usually only get an estimated time of death, true. I'm not sure I've heard of a verified time of death. Magic revels in making the complex appear simple, but reality is the opposite. What appears complex, in this case, is a simple matter of subtraction. I see another person has done their arithmetic homework. The point here is the IV the victim was taking. It's quite visible in the photograph of the scene. Recall what we heard earlier about the victim Magnifi Gramarye's schedule. Every night at 11, Magnifi took an IV drip for 30 minutes. You see the IV bag right there, yes? Now, look a little closer. Follow the tube down from the bag to the end. Ah, the needle's been removed. Doubtlessly it fell out when he was shot. That would seem to be the case. When the needle comes out, the IV no longer drips. Ah, you just measure the remaining IV liquid. Precisely. The IV liquid functions for our purposes as an hourglass of sorts. This is how the doctor determined the time of death. From the amount remaining in the bag, it was determined that the IV had stopped 10 minutes after administration began. And so it was when I, Valiant, entered that room. Stopped 10 minutes after administration began. 10 minutes required to administer full IV. The amount remaining, IV stopped 10 minutes. Only 10 swift minutes. He removed it himself. 10 minutes had passed since that horrible crime was committed. And this is proof. Well, Mr. Wright? That seemed important. Yes. Well, seeing how it is the biggest clue we have to the time of death, I'd say it's very important. Agreed. It will be hard to imagine a more precise way to determine the time. Behold the power of arithmetic. Very well. Witness will add this detail to his testimony. Sometimes the most magical thing of all is the truth. The water of life springs out of turn. The remaining IV liquid proves my innocence. Just a little safe to solve. Did you notice the IV yourself by any chance? When first I entered that room, the stench of gunpowder assailed me. Next, a mark of death upon my mentor's forehead. And then, his left arm did, I spy, a rose, drooping and wilted. Its thorn, the discarded IV needle. Knocked from the vein by the force of the shot. Luckily for you. If that IV had not been there, why, you might be a suspect. Indubitably so. I might say it's thanks to my lucky color. Your lucky color. Indeed. Even today I wear it proudly upon my suspect self. For it always, without fail, brings me luck. Why, when Zack and Valiant won their first Magician's Grand Prix, yes, the very one held by the Association of International Magicians, I was adorned in this attire then too, and our trophy, a bust. Ah, what a day that was. This is one trip down memory lane no one needs. My lucky color, yes indeed, and that IV too. Say, I think 'twas huge, especially for me, Valiant. It does seem to be the case indeed. Well, Mr. Wright, any thoughts on this testimony? Valiant sure looks happy with himself. Hey, how about this lucky color testimony? I mean, the color doesn't match. It certainly sounds like your lucky colors brought you plenty of luck, but not this time. Mr. Valiant, your lucky colors betrayed you. I'm afraid you've lost me. Your Honor, the witness's testimony just now clearly contradicts the evidence. What? Please recall my warning at the beginning of this cross-examination, Mr. Wright. Baseless accusations will be duly penalized. I do hope this latest accusation is well-based. Don't worry, I've got all your bases right here. They belong to us. Where's your evidence that contradicts what Mr. Valiant has told us? His lucky color.
Take that!
The crime scene tells all, Your Honor. Photo of the crime scene? All this talk of color has me yearning for black and white. Clear-cut simplicity. Tell us here, Wright. Just where's the contradiction in this photo? My pleasure. And I assure you, it's quite simple. But I can't promise anything in black and white. Let's hear what Mr. Wright has to say. When this photo contradicts the witness's testimony. It's not yellow.
Take that!
Contrary to Mr. Wright's promises, this seems pretty black and white to me. Ah, fuck off. Okay. Rude, Judge? So it was the liquid? So we were talking about the IV liquid, not the...
Take that!
Alright. I thought for sure he was talking about the needle when he was like the rose, but whatever. Valiant Grammary, let's get one thing straight about your lucky color. It's yellow, yes? Kind of takes the mystery out of it, but yes. Mystery. Something wrong with yellow, Mr. Wright? Yes, there is. Decisively wrong, in fact. Take another look at the photo of the crime scene. What's this? Confusion, doubt. Tell us what your elderly eyes spy. Even my elderly eyes can see a problem here, Mr. Valiant. Look at that IV bag. Ack. What is this? What? Foul mag. Ick. Magic. It'll be hard to call the IV liquid yellow. I'm afraid no magic was involved in the taking of this photograph. Ah. No! Order! What does this mean?
Objection!
This is some kind of mistake. Yes, Prosecutor Gavin. Your witness's mistake. The greener they are, the harder they fall. Suppose there's no substitute for experience. Valiant Grammary, as you reminded us several times, your lucky color is yellow, but the IV is clearly not. Well? This contradiction can mean only one thing.
Objection!
And to think, you almost had me. I see your true colors now, Ace Attorney Phoenix Wright. Something you'd like to tell us, Prosecutor Gavin? As far as this court can tell, the witness's testimony does contradict the evidence. Yes, a contradiction. One that I shall be pleased to hand right back to Mr. Wright. How do you mean? How? Because the witness has made no mistakes. I agree, at a glance the IV liquid does appear sort of greenish yellow. But I assure you, the liquid itself is quite yellow. Yellow liquid? How can you say that? Oh my god, is he fucking colorblind? As far as I can tell from this photo, it's green. Yes, but what color is the IV bag itself? The bag? You mean the plastic bag on the hook? Oh, because it's blue. This is... How would he know what the liquid itself looked like then? No, get out of here. It looks like, I want to say light blue. Precisely. Figured it out yet? Put the yellow liquid in a blue bag and... you get green. This, incidentally, is the liquid's true color. I see. Also moving the mic a bit. Sorry if you could hear something. Yeah, it's still picking up the fan a bit. That's better. Your explanation does have the ring of truth to it.
Objection!
As I thought. There's no substitute for experience, Prosecutor Gavin. What? You may tell a good tale, but you've just proven something rather grave. For you, that is. Grave? The liquid in the IV is yellow, yes. But how did this witness know that? It's quite unnatural when you think about it. You did think about it, didn't you? Irk. Your Honor, the defense requests an explanation from the witness. At the scene of the crime, the IV liquid appears to be green. So let me ask, how did the witness know the IV liquid was actually yellow? Because, oh my god! Order! 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 Mr. Wright, you will explain this at once. The witness clearly knew the color of the IV liquid, so I'm sure it means something, but what? I can think of only one possibility, Your Honor. The witness, Valiant Grammary, has testified that the IV liquid was yellow because it didn't look yellow. He knew the IV liquid's color. No, he'd seen it before. From the facts before us, the answer is clear. Like when he jerked out and like the liquid sort of dripped out on him. Like, oh, okay. The facts before us, the answer is clear. The witness knew that the IV liquid was yellow. Why? Because he'd seen it before. But not inside the blue bag we see in this photo. He saw the liquid by itself in a clear, colorless bag. Suppose he would have had to, but I'm still not clear as to what all this means. Yeah, me either. Ask yourself, why would he know if he didn't work at the hospital? That's where you'll find your meaning, Your Honor. I'm afraid I find nothing. So what if he knew the IV liquid's color? Leave the getting excited over absolutely nothing to our teeny bopper fans, yeah? The IV liquid is the only evidence proving the time of death. A 30-minute hourglass with 20 minutes worth of sand remaining. Your claim, Prosecutor Gavin. I remember it well. However, there's a critical difference between an hourglass and an IV bag. Wait, I know. An hourglass uses sand, but an IV bag uses liquid. I'm right, right? I mean, he's not wrong. As much as it pains me to say this, Your Honor, no. Unlike the sands through an hourglass, IV liquid enters the patient's body. At which point, like magic, it disappears. However, what if the amount of IV liquid had increased? You couldn't tell, could you? After all, there's no way of knowing how much went in. Let me get this straight, Herr Wright. You're saying the witness watered down the victim's IV bag? Not with water, but with IV liquid. That's how you knew the IV liquid was yellow. That's not where I thought this was going. Now, wait, I said wait! How might an amateur such as myself essay to perform such a task? I'm an amateur too, but I can pour water into a cup. I'm afraid there's quite a big difference between a cup and an IV bag. Quite. Can you prove our witness is capable of such a feat? Here's a point, amateurs. I at least would have some difficulty pouring IV liquid into that bag. You don't need to be an expert to see the look on the witness's face. He added liquid to that IV to throw off the time of death. I tire of these fairy tales lacking evidence. Well, Mr. Wright, any solid evidence to bring us back down to earth? Valiant Grammary. I'm afraid your magic won't serve you well in a life of crime. Okay, because this is completely going over my head, I'm just going to do a safety save. Might I ask what you're strongly suggesting? Magic relies on props, and props become evidence. Our witness was certainly able to increase the amount of IV liquid in the bag. All he had to do was work a little magic, and the prop was... Oh, the syringe! The victim's syringe is the perfect prop for the magically increasing IV trick, and easy enough for an amateur to use. What kind of evidence is that? The syringe was clean, not a trace of liquid in it. And don't you find that odd, Prosecutor Gavin? What? The victim had the syringe to administer his insulin shots. There should have been traces of insulin left inside. Well, Valiant Grammary? As you pointed out yourself, the IV liquid makes the perfect clock. One that you could manipulate at will. Alakazam! So he did kill? But then why is he walking free 7 years? I do believe, well, with this being his first, that the burden of this trial has been a bit too much to bear for Prosecutor Gavin. I'm afraid that, while there is a doubt as to the amount of IV liquid in that bag, the time of death cannot be proven. And that brings our trial to a close for today. Well, maybe I can squeeze an extra day out of this. I can do a little much-needed investigation work. See, there are no objections. Court is adjourned. Truly, there is no substitute for experience. Nothing blinds one to the truth so effectively. Avert to the wise. Underestimate the young, and they'll sweep your feet out from under you in a way you never, ever expected. You see, I know exactly what you're thinking. What's he talking about? You say the witness used the syringe to manipulate the level of the IV liquid, but there is no proof. There's no proof he didn't do it either. Yes, quite true. Huh? He's admitting it? Nor was this witness quite as decisive as I'd hoped. This, I admit, after all, why I linger in the past when the future holds so much. You have something in mind, Prosecutor Gavin? Proof, Herr Judge. I have another way to prove my case. With evidence, no less. What's this? This is the victim Magnifi Gramarie's diary. Diary? After going into the hospital, Magnifi began writing his memoirs, it seems. The story of his birth, his startling debut, and of meeting his disciples. It seems he intended for the last chapter to end, quite appropriately, with his death. Wait, that book doesn't say what the reason was, does it? The reason why his disciples couldn't refuse his last request? Sadly, it does not. What's important here is on the last page. Apparently, the victim wrote in his journal that night, even after the IV had begun at 11 p.m. Let's read it, shall we? Ignore the phone in the background. Tonight's IV is in, maybe the last. Leave the rest to them. The first should come soon. The journal may end here or it may go on, but not long. It does appear to have been written just before his death. Because on his hand, all this stuff to do is mine. Lay down. Court accepts this into evidence. Read the very last part with particular care. His journal may end here or it may go on, but not long. That depends on his hand. Of course, by his, he refers to our defendant, Zach Gramarye. That would make sense, yes. He was the first scheduled visitor, after all. But look at what he said before that. His journal may end here, or it may go on. It may go on. Magnifi Gramarye intended to write again. That is, if Zach Gramarye didn't pull the trigger. I see the defense understands the meaning of this. The victim's diary does not go on. It ends. Because Magnifi's life was brought to an end by the defendant, Zach Gramarye. What was the last part say? I want to read it, dang it! The part that was covered by the text box. Thank you. This is the last page. The diary ends here. Now you can see the tear mark, my dude. Huh? What's this? It looks like a page was ripped out? Well, now isn't that interesting? Order! 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 Prosecutor Gavin, are you certain that Magnifi Gramarye wrote this? There is no mistaking his handwriting. Well, this does seem to be significant. I can read. According to this, Magnifi did intend to continue his diary. Yet if his diary ended here, which plainly it did, then the one who pulled the trigger was the first visitor, Zach Gramarye. Well, how do you like me now, Herr Wright? Still too green for your tastes, He's right about the diary being pretty clear. Still, I find it hard to believe that he'd overlook such an obvious problem with his precious evidence. Well, Mr. Wright, witness's testimony we heard was lacking, but put together with this evidence, it seems quite sufficient for a case. If the diary is accepted like this, the trial's over. Maybe it's time for me to show them something. I'm left with no choice but to show my own evidence. What? You have some evidence that overturns this diary? It's not too late to rethink this and avoid more embarrassment. Very well, please show us your evidence, Mr. Wright. Incidentally, don't even think of showing us this diary I've just shown the court. Now that we've come this far, I hope you have something a little more decisive. Show us evidence that proves the victim continued writing his diary. Alright, I'd be happy to. Decisive evidence proving that the diary didn't end with this page is...
Take that!
First, take a close look at this diary. Note that a page has clearly been ripped out. What's this? I hadn't noticed that at all. That's why we're still here talking about this. As it just so happens, I have here what I believe to be the missing page. Alaka, I don't believe it! Looking at this page, it's hard to imagine that the first visitor that night shot Magnifique Grammary. That's the defense's position. Wait, let me see that. What in Sam Hill? Why, this is the continuation of the victim's diary. Note the torn edge of the page. It's a perfect match with the torn remains of the last page in Magnifique's diary. Quite remarkable. Would you care to explain what all this means, Herr Attorney? The diary continued after his first visitor came, which means that the victim was still alive after Zach Grammary left, leaving no one to take his life but the second visitor. Valent Grammary. No! No! The handwriting, too. Matches that on the other pages. Oh, okay. I thought for a minute that was about to be like, oh, it didn't match. This is, without a doubt, the genuine article. Order! 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 But wait, that's impossible. That old man couldn't have written that.
Objection!
Finally, you just couldn't resist, could you, Herr Wright? Resist what? Presenting solid evidence? Herr Judge? Yes, Prosecutor Gavin? Might I request we put the current cross-examination on hold? The prosecution would like to call a new witness. But Prosecutor Gavin, this evidence overturns the current witnesses. I ask only to put it on hold. Please, my new witness has a very, very important piece of testimony to give. 5 minutes, no more. I promise, Your Honor. Well, if you put it that way, Mr. Wright, what's your take on this? Well, Your Honor, judging from his enthusiasm, we'll have to hear this new testimony sooner or later anyway. So it might as well be sooner. Then, though this is highly, highly irregular, we'll put the current cross-examination on hold. The witness may step down. Now, Prosecutor Gavin, please bring this surprise witness to the courtroom. I had a bad feeling just then. That ripped-out page was too obvious. He must have known. And I should have known it was a bad sign all around. Oh, fuck. That's Misham. On a trial with no audience is a first, even for me, Prosecutor Gavin. I beg the court's understanding. But I had to make a judiciary deal with the witness to secure his testimony. A judiciary deal? The details of his testimony may have some legal ramifications, shall we say. I thought it best to contain the information to this room. Very well. You are the witness, I gather. Yes, sir. State your name and occupation for the record. My name's Drew Misham. I'm a painter. painter? And you are somehow related to this case? No, well, not per se. I have one simple question for this witness. Mr. Misham, was it? Do you know what this is? How would he know, though? Oh, yeah, I know it well. How's that possible? Have you seen this diary page somewhere before? Oh, yeah. I mean, I made it. You... what? You made it? Yes. You might call it one of my works. The prosecutor's office received a tip-off yesterday. Illegal evidence has been prepared for the trial of Zach Gramarye. Illegal evidence? I initiated an investigation and found this witness, a painter to the world at large. Drew Misham has another side, you might say. He is skilled in making perfect reproductions of certain things. Forgeries, in other words. Forgeries? Well, so we are to understand that this page here is a fake, prepared by a certain defense attorney.
Objection!
Hold it. I didn't prepare this evidence.
Objection!
Ah, the attorney speaks. Something about this page, I presume? But what is he saying? It makes no sense. After all, it was you who presented this evidence to us, Phoenix Wright. Witness! Mr. Misham, was it? Who requested this forgery? Who was your client? That... I don't know. What? Most of my clients prefer to remain anonymous. Even to me. I make the items they want and receive my payment. That's the extent of my contact with them.
Objection!
But there's no proof this is a fake. It's a fake. Huh? To avoid just this sort of problem, I always put a special mark on my works. I can say without a doubt, this is mine. Mr. Wright, you have just presented illegal evidence to this court. My court. And what of, Edgeworth? And what of, well, no, I mean, he did get arrested. I was about to say Godot, but, no. Alright. It was careless of me. That's all I can say. Oh, old boy. Here. What's this? I don't know, I just got it over there in the hall. They told me to give it to the old boy in the blue suit with the spiky hair. They said it was really important. It was all a trap. A fatal trap. Mr. Wright? Yes. Do you have an explanation for yourself? If I did, would the court hear it? Probably not. Forging evidence is a serious crime, and presenting it in court a serious mistake. A fatal mistake for an attorney. Fatal, too. Perhaps for your client, I fear. Tell me, what kind of defendant relies on forged evidence? The answer is quite clear. A guilty one.
Objection!
Your Honor, wait. I understand that presenting forged evidence in court is a serious crime, but you cannot hold my client responsible for actions I undertook as an individual. I am sorry, Mr. Wright. Your Honor? Another close call, I dare say. If the prosecutor's office hadn't received that hot tip, everything would have gone the way you wanted it to, yeah? I even gave you a chance. Too bad you decided not to think before embarrassing yourself. I see no need for further discussion on this matter. Special witness dismissed. Some stuff does not add up here. Mr. Attorney. Yes. Could I ask your name? Phoenix Wright. Mr. Wright, I have seen and studied many people, but none like you. I remember you, Mr. Wright. That's ominous. Though I deeply regret having to declare a verdict in this way, this trial is over. You have the right to find a new attorney and make an appeal. However, this court must... Your Honor! Yes, Mr. Zack? There is one thing I wish to make clear. Today, in this courtroom, you cannot declare me guilty. It is impossible. I'm afraid the defendant is quite mistaken. I most certainly have the authority to declare a verdict on you. Except, tell me, how do you plan on announcing your verdict? When your defendant does not exist. Doesn't exist? What are you talking about? I am talking about this. Mr. Enigmar. The defendant's escaped. Find him, quick. Bailiff, close all exits from the building. On the double, he must not be allowed to escape. That day, in that courtroom, a miracle occurred. The defendant, Shoddy Enigmar, aka Zack Gramarye, did not just escape from court, he literally, unbelievably vanished. Right before the bailiff's eyes. No one ever saw him again, not since that day. This is the Gramarye miracle. No verdict was declared. After all, the defendant didn't exist. That's how it happened. The trial of magician Zack Gramarye vanished, along with him for all eternity. The mysteries that remained behind were all solved, however, but not until 7 years later. So they disbarred him because he submitted fake evidence, but there's too many things there that I feel he should have fought harder on. For example, like, who tipped them off? It wasn't going to be Zack. Unless he did it for, like, one, like, huge trick. Like, publicity stunt, but I don't know. And then if that is the same Shoddy Smith that played poker with Wright, why would he go there if he knew, like, if he was the one that had Trucy give him the paper in the first place? Not to mention there's the matter of who contacted. Oh shit. Was it the older? I know Clavier is the younger brother, Clavier Gavin. Was it the older Gavin? To sort of like help out his brother on his first trial, like incriminate Phoenix so that his brother could be successful and then tip off the office? And then there was the whole thing with Drew in the first place, like, oh, Phoenix Wright, I'll remember you. But, like... And then they just went on hearsay for him. Like, he just shows up, yeah, I forged it. Oh, there's a special mark on everything I forge. Like, did they bring another forgery with him to cross-check? They didn't question him at all. there's some weirdness going on here. I'm interested to see what happens next time. So yeah, if that was how Phoenix's last trial went, I'd be mad too. But regardless, that's going to be it for today. Thank y'all for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time for some more Let's Play Apollo Justice Ace Attorney. Goodbye.